everybody, welcome to Banter and Chance. I would like to say hi to all of our fine players. You'll notice that we're one short tonight. Kelsey had an unavoidable event come up and won't be joining us. But in the meantime, I want to introduce or have them introduce themselves, the rest of our players. So Brad, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. I'm Brad, and I'm playing Rogar Norixius, the brass dragonborn paladin of Helm.
Excellent.
I am Shady. I am playing Runtz, the young human thief.
Hi, I'm Aiden. I play Kane Harbinger, who is a human wizard / fighter.
And I'm Luna, and I'm playing a human Kensei monk named Geen.
Well, welcome all. Tonight, as Kelsey's not with us, I will be playing Clara as an NPC. And Clara is a wild magic sage, if you want to call it that way. So last time when you were with us, the party learned that Uncle Burkle, Kane's Uncle Burkle, had been contracted to receive a long-haul cargo in the east. This was a special delivery that was being expected by the tyrant merchant Karathur. For whatever reason, some reason, he decided not to fulfill his duty and take this cargo, which turned out to be Geen's sister, to Karathur's stronghold, and instead went north and was seen in the town of Flan. And that's where our party picked up on the trail. Weeks later, and weeks before, actually, our party arrived in Flan. Karathur had left, assuming, and we'd found out that he had left with Geen's sister in tow. Last week, our party stormed Grimshackle Jail, or I should say that they went there hoping to find Burkle, tried to buy his freedom, or intended on it, and ended up emerging with a half-orc mercenary named Ratheen Fell. In the process of getting out of Grimshackle Jail, they were involved in a large battle, or well, I'd say maybe not a large battle, but it was a violent battle with a Minotaur captain of the Grey Patriots, who apparently knew Ratheen Fell. They were able to defeat this foe, and then found themselves following Ratheen, who said she knew how to find Burkle. When we left last week, they had come upon a shipping caravan, and they were on their way to Melvant, or at least they were heading in that direction. And as we left, Rogar received word that from the master of this caravan that they had come upon the body of a dead cleric of Helm and several dead paladins. He informed him of this, and as the party was gathering around the campfire, one of the party was back in the darkness, a little farther away from the flames. A gentleman came up to her and offered her a blanket, and this was Geen. And he dropped the blanket, seeing her face. She caught it, and when she looked up, he was gone, and the next thing she knew, she had a blade to her throat. She felt the slightest nick, and then the world started to spin as she fell into unconsciousness. And that's where we find our party. This week, well, I guess it's seconds later, really. No, it's not seconds later. Rogar and Kane, you find yourselves having buckets of water thrust into your hands. The wagons are burning. Horses are whinnying and panicking, and the 25 or so caravan staff are running around in an absolute panic as the wagons begin to burn. It was unexpected. You were around the fire 1 minute. Clara and Kane were talking to Ratheen Fell, when suddenly it was as if all of the wagons burst into flames at once, and the entire camp immediately mobilized. Several of the guards from the merchant caravan took defensive positions as if they were expecting some sort of an onslaught to follow this sudden and unexplained inferno. The sides of the wagons are burning. The contents are beginning to smolder. And suddenly you are in the middle of this fracas, helping the wagon drivers try to put out these blazes, trying to control this. Imagine yourself now in the middle of this circle. The fire that had once seemed so warm is cold in comparison from the heat that is being generated. There's been skids that were the troughs for the wagon horses brought from a nearby stream, dragged into the middle, buckets mobilized, and men, women, and children who you didn't know were there are suddenly bailing water as fast as they can onto these long freight wagons. It's an amazing thing to see these things go up. You're hearing the staff panic. The master of this caravan, Peter Mournhell, is screaming. What you thought, he's screaming, put them out, and he, please help, and he's throwing you towards the fire. What are each one of you doing when you see this? Where would I find you in this scene? Rogar, what would you be doing?
Trying to bail out the wagon that is flaming up the most.
Okay, so Rogar is there trying to cast water on this wagon, yes?
Yes. At the
Okay.
exact same time, I'm going to shout back to Clara. Clara, isn't there anything that you can do about the fire? Control it.
Clara, she is still within earshot of you, Kane, and she says, yes, let's do something, and she begins to wave her hands. And soon you see her begin to direct some of the heat and almost form some of the element of fire into a ball and make it tighter and tighter and tighter and drag it off one wagon. And she's able to extinguish one wagon. Kane, what are you doing?
Kane's gonna help out Rogar, assuming the one that he's trying to put out is very on fire than the others, and he's gonna try help out put it out too.
Okay. Runt, this is going. You see these two. You see Clara casting magic. Where are you in all this? What's Runt up to?
Putting my back to Rogar's back and looking around to see if this is maybe a distraction for something else that might be going on.
Okay. It seems like the now that one wagon is out and Rogar, you and Kane have the other one under control. The other caravanners and their family are managing to get this blaze under control. It's then that you look into the center and you see Raythene Fell just sweating as she's bailing water onto one of the wagons. The wagon is extinguished, that wagon, and she begins to relax just a little bit. She turns into the middle, her hood back, and Peter Mournhell points at her, and suddenly 3 of his guards just land on her, take her into custody, and force her to her knees in the middle of this as the fires begin to all be extinguished. And you find this smoldering, the wagons are smoldering, but most of the contents have been saved, and there's steam heading up now as this fire quickly subsides, and everyone's faces are covered in soot, and they're standing in a throng watching what's about to happen. And as you turn, and you'll see that Raythene Fell is on her knees with 3 large men holding her back. I should say 2 are holding her arms really quite aggressively, and a third has a short sword right above the clavicle, ready to thrust it into her heart. And Peter Mournhell is glowering at you.
Mournhell.
What is the meaning of this?
Yeah, get your men off of her now.
I will not.
Look at the bucket. She was trying to help.
This is Raythene Fell. She is a member of the Grey Patriots. She is a brigand. and a thief. If you are in league with her, I need to know now. At that point, he turns to you, each one of you, and weighing each one of you very quickly. Now, where are you in this scene? Are you still at your wagons, or have you clustered? Tell me a little bit about what you're doing.
Standing near the trough, where I've just dropped the bucket into the trough.
Runt?
Peeking out from behind Rogar at
Kane?
the scene.
Probably near Rogar, since we were going for the same trough.
Yes, and you'll find that Clara is right at your shoulder. Who speaks for you? She is a thief. At that point, Raythene looks up at you and she says, you don't understand. You need me. You still need me. You need me to find your uncle, and you need me to find your friend.
I speak for her. You talked to me plainly mere moments ago. Speak plainly to me now. Regardless of what she's been to you in the past, she is not the same. She has helped us when
More
we were
lies.
at our worst.
I can't imagine that all of this, these flames, this is a trap. This is a common tactic among the Marauders. Distract us with fire, steal the wagons, incapacitate us. This is known. She's being held back. She goes, please, Rogar, you need me. You need me to find your friend. And she spits the words out, and she turns to Clara. Your friend. Clara at that point looks around suddenly and realizes that Geen is not there. You've been fighting this fire for 45 minutes, perhaps an hour. Geen is nowhere to be seen. Her horse is nowhere to be seen. I can help you. I can help you. I know who did this. And she's arms are being twisted as her face is being forced into the dirt, and then back up again to receive the sword again.
I'll stride over to Mornhell.
Not
Draw my
another
blade.
step, sir. Not another step. And he waves two fingers. On my mark, Stephen.
I'll allow him to have the handle of my blade. Place it. Find a weak spot. Drive it into me. Look into my eyes and call me a liar.
I've seen many things, sir. Things I would not have expected. He takes your blade. Perhaps there's another way. He turns it back to you. Lokath, and this young woman comes up and he whispers in her ear and she runs off. If you're standing for her, then you will stand for her. If you're prepared to take responsibility for this one, there is a way in which we can come to an arrangement. Soon this young woman returns and she has a scroll tube. He uncaps it. We have ways of ensuring that people do not betray us. And I would ask for your mark, sir. Kane, you realize immediately this is a magical contract. And if you betray me, if what you say is not true, if you are in league with her, or if you turn on me, the magic between us will know. And he offers you a pen. Quill.
I'll turn and look to the rest of the group. And then take the pen and scratch down my name.
The ink on the paper seems to shimmer for a moment, and for a moment you feel almost a gravity between you and this Peter Mornhell. He says, "It is done." He notes to his men, they let Raythene fell, and she spits at them. She clears herself off. She comes over to you. She says, "I don't think you'll be sorry. But," and she walks then over to stand with Kane and Clara. At this point, Do any of you, is anybody else reacting in a way that you'd like me to know about as you see the scene unfold before you?
When she first stood up, I'll take a look around and say, "Where's Geen?"
She was taken. I'm sure of it. I saw a man coming in here. I saw a man coming in here that I recognized. And she turns back to Mornhell. She says, "You had a scoundrel in your midst. Don't you see this? You had one of the Grey Patriot's spies here, one of Karathur's spies here. I saw him. I'm sure he would be the one to take Geen, but I don't know why."
Runt, did you see anything?
At this point, Clara is visibly upset. She is the one who's known Geen the longest, and she is absolutely dumbfounded. She'll come up to Raytheon Fallon. "What can you tell us about where Geen is? We need to find her, and we need to find her now." And Raytheon turns to you, Rogar, and says, "I may know where he took her. I can lead you there. It's on the way to where we were going anyway. It makes sense. I can't see it doesn't make sense. We can be there in... Well, it won't take us long. We can travel through the night. We should be there in 3 to 4 hours."
Okay, what say you?
I mean, if Geen seems taken, I say we should make haste. We don't know what they're doing to her. We have no clue what's happening to her.
Let's get our horses quickly.
With this, you're allowed to go get your horses. There doesn't seem to be any great rush to help any of you at this point. You get the sense that all of them are thankful that you were there to help them extinguish the fires, but they are deeply skeptical of you. You could have cost them their livelihood, and they are not unhappy to see the backs of you. You gather your horses, and Raytheon Fell. Who's she riding with again?
She was riding the largest horse, so it'll
yours.
be the two of us. Yeah.
Okay, so she'll come over to you, Rogar, and she'll say, "We can't move fast enough if I'm sharing a horse. We must ask these people for one."
We have Geen's extra.
Now, Geen's horse is gone. You are not sure where it is, but it is not here.
Mornhell, I ask another favor. A single horse. One.
He turns away from you and he's biting his lip. He's looking at the woman who had brought the scroll tube. She nods. She says, "Yes, Papa. Yes, I think we should." "Very well, sir. You may take one of our horses. I would see the end of our little interaction here. I've suffered much damage tonight."
Helm's blessings upon you.
I would prefer Gold's blessings upon me. Thank you, sir.
So be it. Let's go.
Sorry, I prefer Gold's blessings upon me, sir. And he produces a horse. It's not a stellar being, but it's decent enough. I'm feeling generous. We'll say 10 gold pieces from you, sir.
Completely tapped.
Remember, you do have the money that Braden Yill of Flan had given you to extricate Burkle. That still stands as 100 gold pieces, although one of you is 15 gold pieces light for 15 minutes. Perhaps 30.
Right, well, then I will produce 10 coins from the bag and hand them over.
Sir, I can't say I'm going to be happy to see you again, but perhaps. I just hope you don't cross that contract. You know what foul things can become of a person who will break a magical bond like that. But you have my leave to go. All of you, back to the wagons. We might as well move. We're not that far off dawn. There's no sense in staying here.
Well, as Fel pulls her horse up next to mine, what did you see?
There was this snake in their midst. He's a magic wielder, not unlike that one. Gilf. Yes, not what is it? Glyph Raresack, that is his name. He is a slimy one. He was here. He was next to the fire. He's not here now. He was more than likely looking to set this caravan up for some sort of to be taken. I know this is how he's worked. He's done it several times for the Grey Patriots. I don't know why Sand, the leader, keeps him around, but he has his uses anyway. He's a despicable thing. I would just say that it makes sense to me that he would take her. He knows where our hideouts, our strongholds, our safe houses are. There's one not too far from here. If I was him, that's where I would go. I believe we can get there. We can get there and perhaps find him on the route. That's my best suggestion. There are others, but I think that is our best route. But we should hurry. I don't think we should wait. Who knows what he's got at his disposal.
This mystery of your uncle gets deeper and deeper.
Yes,
I will still help you find Burkle. I believe he's held by the Patriots, and we can make it to their camp. I'm sure of it. It's just we can't go this way. It's a day and a half ride from here. We can make it. But as I say, I would be heading for the nearest stronghold, and I believe that's where we should go.
Kane, you were saying?
I say that's probably our best bet to find Geen, right? And if he knows where the strongholds are, he would probably be heading for a safer place to make shelter for the night. Or maybe he would travel through the night since he is a spy.
Fair.
There are evil things out here, sir. You don't want to be out here exposed. Let's say exposed. You don't want to be out here at night. He would be heading for somewhere safe.
Now, lead on.
She turns her horse quickly and she's like, please follow me. And she kicks her horse and she heads on down the road. She doesn't go down the road back towards Flan, turning back the way you came towards Flan, where she cuts off quickly. She says, we passed this on the way, but it will get to where I think he would go. It's not the shortest way to their camp, but it's definitely the shortest way to that stronghold. And she cuts off the trail, the Flan Pass. At that point, you see her heading towards a large pair of foothills, and the moon is up in the sky high. There is, it's not overcast or anything at this point. It's quite clear, and she's charging you down this rather rocky, imperceptible road. Faint wagon tracks are on it. It's not something you typically would have picked up. It's been traveled, but it doesn't look like something that is a trade route or anything along those lines. You ride for a few minutes, for I would say these 3 hours, and you climb steadily up onto the shoulder of this one hill as she's coming up. And there in the side of the hill, you see this sod house, this sod bunker. And you realize that it's looking down upon the Flan Pass, the Flan Path that you had actually been traveling. And it's a lookout spot, concealed expertly. And she slows her horse as she's going towards it. And as you come up next to her, Rogar and the others right behind, she turns to you and she says, "The door's broken open. He could be inside."
I say we should move quietly from here on out.
You're able to close the distance and move quite quietly. She will speed her way silently up ahead. Do any of you want? You're seeing her move off ahead. Tell me what you're each doing.
Runt's keeping up with her as quietly as possible.
As I make the most noise, I'll bring up the rear, making sure that we haven't been followed.
If there's windows on this house, Kane's going to try to sneak up to one of them and peek through.
You quickly come upon this house, and it is cold, black, and empty. The door has been thrown open. Nobody bothered to lock it. He's gone. There's no scout here. There's nobody here. This is it's a scouting post that should always be manned. Sand would never let this go unmanned.
Something doesn't feel right.
She looks around at all of you, realizing that you've been up for, half the night now, and morning is not too far off. She, looks at herself and she says, I feel terrible. We need medicine. And she heads into the house. And does anybody, you can follow her if you wish. And she'll be kicking over some furniture, moving it out of the way. And then she sees it's here somewhere. And she's looking at floorboards. And indeed, she finds one with a knot and she pulls it up. And you can see that there are 10 vials inside that. She hands one to each one of you. She says, "Take it now. Keep it for later. I don't care." She puts 2 in her own belt. Hands 1 to each one of you. That's 7. She'll give the remainder to you, Rogar. "I owe you this." She quickly quaffs one of these potions, and you can see her look immediately renewed. I'll let you each decide when and if you're going to take these. Just understand that it's obviously a lesser healing, and you're welcome to go ahead and decide when you would like to use it.
Placing it inside my belt, I'll stride back to the door, but turn and look back over my shoulder and say, "How is it that you know so much about this place? How did you know where to look?"
I've been a member of the Grey Patriots for many years. I only broke with them after they hostaged me, gave me over as part of the ransom from Grimshackle to get Burkle out. They weren't happy that I had shown Burkle friendship, or Burkle saved my skin a couple of times, let's just say that. They weren't happy when he crossed Arathor. But nobody's perfect.
So if he's not here, where would he go next?
I would head to their camp. We were going there before. I wouldn't go back on the path. We can cut down this path easily enough. It's a day's ride from here. We'll find our way. I just still don't understand why anyone would leave this tower. This watch is, as I say, it's always manned. There's one thing, people that live off of passing caravans can't afford, it's to let one go.
Looking around, does it look like there, prior to her, of course, destroying the furniture, kicking things around, did it look like there had been a scuffle of any kind? A missed blow, a cut in the wall?
No, you don't see anything. As near as you can tell, there was a table with a chair that sat in front of the opening, the window that looked down, and there was a high chair that obviously was placed there so somebody could keep watch, and it's pushed back as if somebody got up quickly. That's about the only thing that you're able to really tell. Other than that, there doesn't seem to be any real foul play, other than the foulness of thievery.
Well, we ride again.
All right. You mount your horses. You head. She leads you down the back path of this, which seems to be going a different direction, and down the back side of this large mountainous hill. And she's leading you down on a path that she obviously knows. The moon is beginning to give way to a pale dawn as you hit the floor of the main, I would say, flatlands between the Moonwatch Hills. You're at the eastern side of the Moonwatch Hills, having come down a winding path. You are headed down what she tells you they call the Blue Trail. She says, we're fastest now to run this route. We'll briefly touch the Flan path again before we head to the Grey Patriots camp. And she says, I suggest we all move very, very quickly. For any of you who are interested, just as a bit of for any of you who take those potions, that's 2d4 plus 2 is what your hit point recovery is going to be. Sorry, bit of housekeeping there. Down you go, riding steadily. And your day is just beginning. You ride through the day. You ride in the flatlands through scrub and scruff, grass, creek beds. It's a trail that she knows well. And as the dawn arises and you're halfway through the morning, she says, "We must give the horses a break. I suggest we all stop, just so we don't run them to death." She stops at a creek. She says, "This creek is clean water, sweet. I can drink here quite happily. And we can keep an eye on the surround, and you're in the middle of this glade. And you feel fairly secure." Geen, in a brief moment of consciousness, you see snippets of a trail before your eyes moving. You realize that you're slung over the back of your own horse, and someone is driving it forward. You're unable to move. Your limbs are completely useless. You hardly can feel anything past a few flies that will land on your eyes as they flutter open and closed. Blackness finds you again. You're not able to stay awake. And it's not until later in the night you're able to start to feel as though you're waking. And at this point, you feel cold ground underneath you and the smell of char and soot under your nose, as if you're laying in the remnants of a wet campfire. You're laying on your shoulder, and you hear speaking. You're able to turn your head slightly, and you see this mouse of a man. He stands about 10 feet away, and he's speaking to someone in the darkness. And it's strange for a moment, because you realize that as he speaks, nobody is responding. You hear him say, "I have her. Don't you understand? I have her. You must let me talk to Don Rick. Don Rick will tell you how important she is to our master. And I have her. I have her here." You can see that he's looking, with your keen eye, you can see that he's looking at a piece of vellum paper. And he's holding a small stone in his hand as he speaks. "What do you mean she's already been found? She's here. The woman in this picture is here. She's in front of me. I took her. I saw her, and I took her. Don't give me that. Don't give me this story that what I do is not important. How dare you? You go and get Don Rick. You tell him what I've told you. I have her. I'm telling you this. I have her. Don't worry about the caravan. The caravan's of no importance." He waits for a moment, and then he begins speaking again. You don't. There's no way she's there. There's no way she's there. She is here in front of me. You have been fooled. She's here in front of me. No, you don't. No, I know that I made a mistake before, but this is not a mistake now. I shouldn't have been on that godforsaken caravan. I'm a wizard. I was a wizard in his master's orders. No, you cannot do that. You cannot strike me away from the group just because I did not abandon my post. I took a more important target. I don't care if those wagons were worth 30,000. I don't care. I know they were laden with silk and gold and sailcloth. Pfft. You can't do this to me. You're gonna mark me for revenge. I mark you for revenge. You better Hello! God! God damn it! And he casts the stone down into the mud. And he turns around and he looks at you. "You fine and pretty thing. It seems no one wants you." He doesn't he seems to be just yelling at you. Geen, what are you doing lying there on your side as you see this man spitting venom?
He sees me awake.
No, he hasn't.
He doesn't see me awake. Is he like behind me or in front of me?
I'll say
From-
you're on your side, and
like-
he's if straight ahead eye level is 12 o'clock, he's sort of that way. He's at 3, so he's just sort of in front of you and off towards your feet, I guess you'd say.
So are my hands behind me?
No, you're unbound.
I'm unbound.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I feel like nearby me for like a rock or like something or something sharp I could probably throw?
No,
Just
what you feel behind you is timber, or what was timber. If you feel soot and coal, charcoal, the remnants of a fire, and it seems to be all the way underneath you.
Okay.
Wet and slick and rancid.
Okay.
When you
I'll-
look, if you want to glance around you, you realize you're in the burned out shell of a home or cabin.
Okay. I want to take, if I can, like a handful of that and just keep it in my hand.
Sure. You pick it up. It's like mud,
Okay.
sort of soggy, styrofoamy type. It's a bit of a feel to it.
Okay. And I want to try to just see if I can slide that hand that has that mud like underneath my body towards the front, just to kind of get it ready, just in case maybe he gets my thought is if he gets close to me, I'm gonna put it in his face.
Sure. So you'd be ready to throw it.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be getting close to you so much. He's just sitting there fuming as near as you can tell. Just talking to himself, muttering, they don't know what they're talking about. They can't do this to me. Nobody does this to Raresack. Nobody. Ugh. And he's just angry.
Okay. His back is to me?
He's
Okay.
sitting. He's now sitting. He's slumped down, knees up, looking. You're not looking in your direction, but he sort of looks. He glances at you in the darkness. Glances, and I will say it's dark. When you have this foggy memory of feeling yourself moving down the road, it was light. It is dark now. He looks over at your horse. He looks down to the side, about 5 feet, 6 feet away from him, a little farther away from you.
Do I see
At
any
your-
light? Like a fire or a torch or like some sort of lantern?
No, it is dark. It's cold.
It's dark.
It's dank. You can see by moonlight for the most part, and mists seem to be swirling lazily around your feet, but just very low. Perhaps the day's heat is coming off this charcoal, and you're just sitting in this black mess with a low skeleton wall around you. You can see that your pack and your bow weapons are sort of arranged in a heap. He looks at it. He goes, well, he stands up, doesn't really say anything else, moves over to your pack, begins to open it up like this, starting to rifle through it, pulling out items, looking at them, casting some things aside. You see, thinking he's measuring things for value.
Looking through that pack, is his body facing me or is his back to me?
His shoulder is to you. He's off to your side.
Okay.
You're off to his left side.
And I'm not bound. Not even my legs are bound. I'll
Doesn't feel
try
like
to-
it. Doesn't feel like it. Your legs are strangely numb, but you can wiggle your toes. Whatever paralysis you had in you, whatever venom was in your blade, when you're in that blade, seems to be leaving you now. Your constitution is taking over. It didn't kill you.
Okay. Then I'm gonna slide my feet to kind of like a fetal position to see if I can kind of lean over to get on my knees. If I believe it's that dark.
It's not dark that you're in the shadows, but it is very black. Well, it's reasonably black, and you're on this sort of muck. So go ahead and roll deception for me. I think would be the roll, or I guess it could be.
Like stealth?
And stealth better. Thank you.
Okay.
And roll it at disadvantage, please.
Damn it. Not bad. 16.
He pauses, very briefly.
I stop and just try to get still.
You hear him whisper very low. You're a sneaky one. And he casts right away on you, hold person. And you feel yourself beginning to go rigid. Okay. You did this to me. And he begins to storm towards you. He's like, you little bitch. Oh, I'm going to do things to you. Nobody does this to Rare, Zach. Nobody. Oh, but why just have all the fun? I must make something out of this mess. He begins to rifle through your belongings again. You feel as though he has frozen your legs, but you're able to right yourself if you'd like. And you're sitting there from where you began to get up. Interestingly enough, you have some use of your hands. You still got that ball of muck in your hands.
You have the opportunity to make a wisdom saving throw.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yes,
thinking. Like,
please,
can I do
please do.
that?
Yeah,
oh,
you
okay.
sure.
I just assumed like it worked because you didn't ask for it. Wisdom saving throw 2.
Pardon me. Gotta get the right sheet in front of me. Apologies.
Oh, that's not great. 9.
Okay. You can move your head slightly. You can talk. Who are you if you're not this person? And he holds up the piece of vellum towards you, and he seems confident enough stalking towards you and showing it to you. Are you this one? This Miseo? He says it awkwardly.
I just kind of chuckled to myself.
Speak.
Do I look like this one?
You look like this one. Are you not?
Look at the eyes one more time.
He looks down at the eyes, and what do you think he would notice?
For Misao, there's a mole under her left eye. For Gin, there's not. Her face is clear.
Looks enough like her to me. I've got to make something out of this. Ah! And he goes over. He begins to tear things from your pack. He's casting clothing out to this side and odds and sods out to this side. You see him look at your sword. Perhaps you see him rifle through for what meager things he can find. And then you see him pause for a moment. What's this? And he brings it out. And it's a brass bowl. Small. You must eat small meals indeed. What is this thing? Must be worth a few bob, I'm sure. Speak. How much is this? Where did you get this?
You've never seen a bell before?
It's not a bell, it's a bowl.
Did you not see the small wooden tool with it?
Spoon? Your people are backwards. Would this not be a spoon or some... You're saying it's a bell. Where does it hang from? How does it hang?
It doesn't hang. You hold it and you ring it.
He draws back the mallet. He looks at you.
It's quite a beautiful sound.
And he strikes the bowl. The waves of sound are emanating. They seem to saturate everything for a moment. You immediately feel that you can move, and all traces of the poison that were in your blood are gone.
I get it.
Seems like a bell to me. He rings it again. Turns slightly away from you and resumes his ransacking of your belongings.
When he turns his body and I feel myself being able to move, I immediately get up, run, like, I guess I want to dash over to him, take whatever that mud I had in my hand, put it in his eyes, see if I can grab my sword.
All right. I guess it's an improvised attack, yeah? I don't think we need to... I'm going to say at this point, his back is to you. He's arrogant enough. Why? And he's got this black soot smear in his eyes. What? You bitch! And by this time, your action, you're able to... You're right next to him.
Is my sword right next to us?
It's right next to you.
Then I grab it and I try and stab him with it.
Okay. He's disoriented for a minute, and you are able to strike. Go ahead.
Just damage, or do I have to roll a hit?
No, you'll have to roll to hit.
Okay. Let's see. 16.
You hit this guy. Ooh.
D8. Oh, that's not a D8. This is 6 damage.
Okay. He backs away, bloodied. Not very happy with that at all. And he begins to wave his hands, and I'd like you to make a... Jeez. Yeah, wisdom save, please.
15.
Yeah, okay. You feel the same hold spell being cast, and you are able to throw it off. You are free to move again.
Then I'm gonna go ahead and try for my action to do an unarmed strike. I'm gonna try to like punch him in the head, try and knock him out while holding that sword in my hand, my offhand.
Okay, I will. You can go ahead and make your unarmed strike.
Oh, that's a natural 20.
Okay.
So 25 to hit, and 1d4 plus 3. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 3. 9 damage.
He doesn't fall unconscious, but he is knocked prone on his back and bloodied. His nose breaks and it sprays across his face when he spits, rubs himself. You see him glance up suddenly and fade into mist.
I put the sword down and I just kind of take a look at my surroundings.
Where he was looking, he sits on a high cliff face. You can see that he has stepped up onto a small escarpment that he was looking at, and he is beginning to cast.
Is my bow in within reach?
It is within reach.
Then I'm gonna drop that sword, grab that bow, and ouch! I shouldn't have done that. Try and shoot at him.
You draw back the string of your bow, knocking an arrow with expert precision.
That's 5 to hit. That's 22 to hit.
You hit him.
Oh, that's not great. That's only 5 damage.
You feel a surge that you felt before come through your fingers and your shooting arm. The arrow streaks towards him, splits suddenly into 2. Roll again for damage, please.
That's 10.
Each arrow finds its mark. One in his heart, the other in his mouth. His casting ceases, and he falls backwards. You can't see him anymore, save 2 flaccid legs that are just sort of hanging awkwardly over the edge of this small escarpment. And if there was an initiative, you're out of it. You see all around you that you were in that burned out shell of a building that was set up against this sandy cliff. What would you be doing at this point?
I'm gonna put all my stuff together, put my pack back together, take that bell, put it back in the velvet bag, and take that velvet bag and tuck it within my, I guess, my front piece armor, just so it's on me, and then take my horse by the reins, and with my sword, like, just kind of at the ready, walk up to where his body is, just to make sure he's dead.
You will not actually be able to get
Oh, really?
up to his body. It is, you would have to be able to climb up
It's like,
to this. It's literally, he's Misty stepped up onto a natural sort of platform that if you were able to get up to, you'd have to have climbing equipment or lower yourself from sheer walled cliff. But you do walk out of this home, and you can see that it's even got the semblance of a yard. In fact, you notice that there's some small wooden children's toys off to one side. You notice that there was a bed in here at one point. You can see 4 posts, perhaps another smaller bed, and then you see a brass baby's bed. Something that looks too fine for a mere cabin. Strange. There's a well-tended garden to one side, albeit the vegetables are somewhat smashed. You can move out to what looks like a walkway, and as you do, this scene unfolds before you.
before I leave, is that parchment with Misao's face on it still there? Is it on the ground? Or did he keep it?
I will say it is. I will say it is not on the ground.
It's not on the ground. I can't find it. Can I find that stone that he dropped or threw?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I'm going to try to look for that before I leave.
You can find it. You can find it. It's a small, round, soft stone with a few hatched lines on the face of that stone.
Okay.
It feels cold.
I'm just gonna put that in my pack.
Okay.
And then if I don't see anything else noticeable that he had dropped or left, then I'll make my way out.
The night is cold and crisp as you begin to look through his belongings. A mist is rolling in the doors and begins to roll down the hill and gently obscure his body. And it's a natural mist. It's not threatening. But everything is filling sort of with this haze. The same haze is what sees you, Rogar, Runt, Kane, as well as Clara and Raythene, as you're on your horses. We're almost there now. Don't worry. It's just a few moments longer. We just have to briefly step back on the path of Flan, and then it's mere moments and we'll be down the route to the camp. She takes you down the camp. There is a sound of crows and birds up ahead. You hear a buzzing in the sound in the air. And as she moves farther forward, you can see what this is. 100 yards off the main trail is a small hill, a small escarpment. And on this small escarpment, there is a scarecrow. And the scarecrow is on top of this tree, this lifeless tree. You can see the silhouette of this scarecrow set against the moonlight and the whiteness of the haze that the moon is illuminating. Raythene shoots a very nervous eye to you, Rogar. I don't know what this is, but that is our path.
I think I'm afraid that I do.
Your horses draw closer.
I'll dismount and walk up.
Okay.
Show the respect that the respect is due.
You have to step among bodies, not just bodies. The remains of bodies, the stains of bodies. As you move forward, you see several sigils lying in the mud among broken armor. Tyr, Helm, Torm, Hor. All familiar to you. Most of all, Helm. Paladins. Several of them. Perhaps 11? 10? The wind is whipping broken shards of cloth on broken spears and broken arrows that are littering this position. It's whistling through the crude, primitive fins on these arrows. The fletching is black, evil. What would you be doing at this point?
The scarecrow isn't a scarecrow at all. It's the cleric.
It is.
Isn't it?
At his feet, you see a broken shield. And I would dare say a blasted shield. On that, you can still make out the all-seeing eye set in the gauntlet of Helm. Although unlike normal shields, it's strange a little bit because that sigil is set upon a flaming background, like molten stone. You look up at this old cleric, long beard, and you know who this is. You have no doubt in your mind who this is. This is a legendary figure in your order. Arkand Lavashield is his name, and he bears the title of High Watcher. High Watcher of an obscure order, the Watcher over Travelers. They are a part of your order that is known to guard travelers and merchants along supply routes, so his being here is not strange to you. This mountain dwarf is imposing as dwarves go. What are the rest of you doing as Rogar is moving closer to this body? And Brad, is that your head in your hands, or is that Rogar's head in his hands?
Both. But I will pick up the shield
Pieces.
and inspect it.
Sure. From what you're aware of, this shield was blasted not by a weapon, physical weapon, but by some sort of force that just split it, as if you would split a block of ice. You can see the clean edges of the steel where it was shattered. You can see this deep dwarven forged shield has not withstood whatever came through it.
Kane, can you help me get him down, please?
Yeah. Yes, I'll help. Kane gets officers and walks over to Rogar, and seeing the bodies, looks to Rogar and says, "I'm very sorry. I couldn't imagine what you're going through." And helps him get the body down from the tree.
Trying to free one of the arrows with the black fletching.
He is littered with them.
Yeah, it might be sunk in.
And an insulting.
Like target practice.
Yeah, obviously, well, you can tell by the angle that he may have been alive or dead when these arrows struck, but they were when he was hanging here.
Do any of them come out cleanly enough to see the tip?
You do? Yes.
Is it crudely made?
Not as crude as some, but you know the make. Yeah, it's obvious to you what hands forged it. They are of various sizes too, I will say. But you can extract both sizes and take a good look at them if you want.
Taking them down to Fell. I'll hold them out.
These are not my people's arrows. No way. We're not 200 feet from this camp.
I just want to know.
It's at this point. Go ahead. Sorry.
I want to know where they came from.
Look at them. It's obvious to me. That's orc. That kobold.
I needed to hear it.
When you see this now, you can see the devastation and the footprints all around this mound. The ground is absolutely chewed up. They are directing themselves deeper off the path towards the south. Clara comes up to you and says, he was a cleric of your order?
Very high, most revered.
Would he must be able to tell us something. There must be something we can tell of what happened here. Kane, I'm going to actually have you roll perception since you helped get him down.
All right. Okay, let me pull up my perception. Okay. 12.
Yeah. You see that there is a tome, rather sizable leather tome, which is almost like it's not small. It's sort of 12 inches by 12 inches, leather bound. It is in his cloak. It has been pierced by one of the arrows. You can see it. Perhaps it was missed because it was dangling from his cloak in a strange way, pierced by this arrow. It's a locked tome, leather bound.
Does it look more on the side of spellbook or personal?
It looks personal.
I take it out and I hold it to Rogar. I found this on his body. You should probably take a look at it, not me. I hand the tome to him.
What would you be doing as he does this?
Is it still locked?
It's a buckle.
Okay. Trying to get into the most amount of moonlight that I can, allowing a beam to hit it. I'll open it to its first page.
Clara comes over to you and casts a simple cantrip to produce a glowing orb, allowing you to look. Consciously, though, not a beacon. When you open it, you see it's written in Dwarvish, as you may expect. It's a personal journal. It's strange. The Dwarvish is short and weird abbreviations. You can flip through this if you'd like. Are you leafing through it, or what would you like to do?
Leafing through it to see if there's anything of import that he might have drawn, but at the same time, I do speak Dwarvish.
You can pick out the odd short word, but there's several abbreviations. You're not sure what this shorthand means. It's common. You're seeing the symbols repeated over and over again. There's the odd town name that sticks out at you. You can tell that the date on this has this journal has been kept for several years now. Near as you can tell, 4.5 years ago, this journal was started. And it seems to be an account of information, and he's searching for something. The helm in this party from the Order of the Gauntlet have united to look for things. As you flip through it, you do see a name noted more and more with greater frequency, and that name is Karathor. You are not sure what else it says, but as you flip towards the end, or I shouldn't say the end, but where the writing begins to cease, there's a hastily scratched note, and the note is in common. It says, I am Arkund Lavenshield, Lavashield and servant of Helm, High Watcher over travelers. If you be of good heart, see this journal to a church of Helm. They will know what to do. And then there's a brief account of what transpired here. We came to question the Grey Patriots. We came to question their leader. A scout arrived. He tells of a great force that's coming this way. We did not expect to find women and children among pirates, but my brothers and I have decided to help them escape and hold the line at the valley's mouth. Their strongest warriors and men are behind us, but we will meet this foul witch head on. We've made all preparations, but the time is slipping from us. Please know we died with the gods of justice on our lips. Please know my story ends here. And it's signed with the sign of Arkund Lavenshield. What did it say? It's Fel asking you.
This was their last stand.
What do you mean their last stand? The camp is over the edge. Oh,
They-
God. Oh, God. Jenny! And she begins to run. She is running flat out. She's forgotten her horse, actually. She's just bolted to the south. And quickly, she's obscured by mist.
Fel! Wait! Quickly, horses!
You gather the horses and you make off after Fel. You don't travel 100. Do you do anything else with this?
Not at the very moment, no.
Okay. You come upon, you're on a road. The road is quickly sinking into the ground, if that makes sense. It looks to be a natural ravine that's leading down through these foothills. You can see that there are both what seem to be well-established battlements and hastily assembled fortifications, trenches, timber shields, sharpened logs, makeshift spears, turned over wagons littered with broken arrows, and bodies. Bodies of what you figure could be 50, maybe 60 men on both sides of this shattered barricade.
Do we catch up to Fel in the madness?
You do. She's standing there, just trembling. I know these men. They were good once, or good by my reckoning, good to me.
Which ones? Which
All-
side?
All of them. What do you mean, which side? All of them. They're all patriots. Every one of them. What happened here? She gathers her senses. She gets on the horse. I must find Jenny, and she begins to canter. Not gallop, but she's cantering, nervous about the death that's around her. Your horses are spooked as this entryway begins to narrow, like a ravine, and you can then feel that it's opening up, and you can see light ahead. The walls are now 100 feet high around you. You can see a gate ahead of you, timber set into the sides of the earth, and there was a walkway atop it, and you can see the same story. Bodies hanging over top of it. The double gate swung lazily outward, creaking in the wind. And you smell salt on the air. Salt and brine. And as you move through this gate, you see that the path twists down a cliff face, and a cove opens up in front of you, high-walled. And there, down at the bottom of this snaking path that skirts the outside of this cove and then makes a cutback down towards, closer to the sea, you see a settlement of sorts, a town, dark. It's full of tents, half tents, warehouses of some sort, not hastily assembled, but several of the buildings are obviously mobile. Some of the roofs are canvas, sailcloth. But it's been here for some time. There are gardens, there are walkways. There's even a swing set. Swings hanging in the breeze, and a handmade teeter-totter. There were families down here. And Fel is off in front of you, and she stops. I need to find my daughter. I need to find Jenny. And she goes down, and you see her head off of this path and down into this darkened town. And there appears to be like a main street with several branching avenues coming off of it. And then from your vantage point, you can see the seashore and a large, it's a strange look because it's kind of like these two cliffs descend out into the sea, and you can see where there's some other rock which has a similar sort of fin-like feature to it, descends down into the sea, and one of those has descended down into the sea in just such a way that it forms a bit of a pier that heads out into the deeper water, a natural pier that would allow ships to dock here. You can see that it's all flitting, obscured by this mist that's rolling in both from the hills and from the sea. I'd like to know, are you sticking with Fel, or are you letting her move on ahead? Where are all of you at this point?
I'm gonna stick with Fel.
Okay.
Yeah,
Kane.
riding closely behind her.
Okay.
But slowing. Whenever she slows, I slow.
All right.
What do you mean, daughter? You have a daughter?
I'm a woman. I'm a mother. Yeah. What's that so hard to believe?
No, you just mentioned this rough and tumble lifestyle.
I don't judge others for what they do, but it doesn't mean that I'm incapable of love or having children.
You're right. I'm sorry.
So she comes upon a house or what's left of a house. It's a collapsed tent. Hastily, she draws back the remnants of a flapping door and heads inside. Geen, you emerge from the burned out cabin and you're standing at the end of a long street, and down both sides of that street there are shattered timber houses. Some of them look like they're made out of the upside down hulls of boats. You see large buildings, actually, with boxes and crates scattered in front of both of them as you walk down this avenue. Even just a little ways, you see that there are boxes, there are belongings in the street. You see a bowl that would have been made for making bread. You see a fine chest lying here with drag marks behind it, and then stop, and now covered and fine finish peeling in the moisture. You see discarded bags and wardrobes. You see even pots and pans lying strewn everywhere. It's an odd sight. And out ahead of you, you see the glint of the moon on ocean.
Do I see anything on the water?
You see this spit of rock heading out a long way, and at the end of it, you see a boat.
Does it look like a big boat or like a?
It's a sloop of sorts. You'd say it's double masted, fine mast though, not huge. You can see a form on the bridge, but you're not close enough to see much else. It is quite a ways away.
I'm gonna try to get some cover. Just, I don't want to be noticed by that person.
The person doesn't move. You're able to find your cover and move reasonably quickly. When you hit the edge of the spit, you can see that their back is to you, and you're able to move out on that pier if you'd like. There's the odd box and everything that you can continue to dodge behind to get closer till you can take a good look. So at that point, you realize that the boat is actually about 30 feet off the end of the pier.
Does that person look alone?
There are dark shapes on there, but the person indeed looks, you'd say they look alone. They don't seem, they could be sleeping, they could be sitting. They're sort of, their head is down like this. You can see their shoulders as if they're reading something.
Do they look like they're wearing any armor or just like regular clothes?
You can't tell from here.
Then,
Would you like to move where you can see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want
So
to
you
try to get
Sure.
closer.
We're going to say that you move most of the way down the spit. You're less than 10 feet away. You look out there, and now in the moonlight, as the mists part periodically, you can see that this person is not indeed reading, but has the shaft of a large spear through their back, holding them up from sinking completely, and is quite obviously dead. The boat doesn't appear to be moored or tied in any way. Instead, although it could be, but it's definitely there. Sails furled, not let loose. There's a couple pairs of oars, and yeah, it's there in the end. And at that point, you hear an ungodly scream.
I try to turn towards it.
And you do, and you turn towards one of the avenues in the town site. That scream is made of sorrow and a mother's loss. And Rogar Runt Kane, you are there, right next to it as it happens. And Raythene Fell comes out of the tent holding a doll, or what you think is a doll. And it's then you realize that it is the body of her daughter. And it has been crushed, is the only way to say it. It hangs limp. The rigor mortis is long past. It's beginning to bloat slightly. It's got a gray-blue color. It's moving in a way that a body shouldn't move. And just dangling. Like a sack doll. And this tough half-orc woman comes out, and the tears are coming down her face. And she just stumbles towards you and said, "She was such a happy child. My mother. I named her for my mother. And I knew that they would never harm her. Everyone here loved her. And even though the thieves punished me and sent me to Grimshackle, they told me they would see to her upbringing." Who did this? You see all around you the telltale signs of footprints, kobold work, the signs of struggle, but very few bodies. Hardly any, really. What are each of you doing at this point? Sorry, and I should say, Geen, that you can see figures from where the screen was emanating. In the moonlight, you can...
Can I notice the silhouettes?
Sure. Two reasonably big silhouettes, one massive, one very small, and two cloaked and average.
I run towards it.
How would they hear you coming? As the four of you are looking at this tragic scene, what do they hear? Geen.
As I'm running and I get closer, I just yell out, "Runt? Rogar?"
And Runt, you hear this immediately. Rogar,
Nice.
you
See her from where I'm at?
You can. She's running from the water's edge, off the pier, and straight towards you.
I'm gonna meet her halfway because this is super awkward. And I don't want to be around it.
Okay, you move halfway and stop.
I kneel
Oh, sorry,
down.
you move halfway and you meet her there. Yeah, okay.
I kneel down and I just kind of look at her. "Are you okay? What happened?"
Now, kind of lead her back.
When you come up on the group, Rogar's still watching you, and you see Raythene Fell holding this child. What's left of it.
I walk up so I'm next to Rogar. What happened?
Obviously, a contingent of orcs and kobolds attacked. They laid waste to everything. If it couldn't be taken, they left it. If it could, they took it. But there aren't enough bodies here to prove that there were too many deceased. They're known for taking slaves too.
They would have got out on the boats. Suddenly you hear Fel say. There were 3 large ships, several other small ones. Like that one there. I don't know why they didn't take it.
I was there. I didn't see anyone.
You can see that this has happened, but this has happened days, maybe a week ago. We'll say days. And whatever was here was after. It would happen before the scarecrow was found by Peter Mornhill. And you've only been gone from the party for like a day and a couple of nights. This is the night after you were originally abducted. You hear the bell toll from the little ship floating, well, the not so little ship floating in the... Raytheon turns to you and says, I need you to bless this child.
Take me to your favorite spot. A spot that was important to you both.
It was the little hill where we found the cleric. That was her favorite place. She could watch the wagons go by. We would sit there among the flowers and we would count them, and in the wintertime she would build little homes and we would pretend that we were on lookout. And when nobody was around, we would light a fire and tell stories. That was her favorite place. We called it the toe. The toe of a giant. It was always such a lovely place. Not like now. That tree was beautiful. She could climb on it. I want her there. I want her to see the wagons go by. The dawn is beginning to threaten to come out.
Helping Fel back to her horse.
You make the long ride.
Yeah, I'll ride alongside her so that she can hold on to the body and not the reins.
You easily come back up the hill past the dead. We'll honor her first, please. Them later. And she starts to cry again. As you close the distance on the toe, you see the dead cleric again, his back turned to you as he's turned towards the the road as a symbol of whatever terror this force wants to wreak upon the world.
They would have watched over her, you know.
I hope so.
The dwarf would have laid down his life for your daughter.
She produces... I took this, and it's a small carved knight, paladin, This was her favorite toy. And she knew she led a thief's life, but she was good. And you can see on this toy, the sigil is the sigil of a wheat sheaf. You reach the toe, and you see your fallen cleric. And what does a paladin of Helm choose to do?
Clara,
Yes,
we'll gather the bodies.
yes.
This time I need you to act as an accelerant.
I understand. Kane, will you help me?
Yes, I will.
You quickly gather the bodies, the dozen or so. You lower the cleric down to the top position. Raythene takes her child, opens the cleric's robe, his cloak, sets her lovingly in his arms, closing his arms around her tiny body, and then she replaces the cloak to cover her face. Please bless them. She falls back towards you, crying, hanging off your breastplate, Rogar. Please.
Holding her up, holding her hand very tightly in mine. Everyone bow, please.
What are each one of you doing?
Lowering my head.
Okay, as instructed. Everyone.
Yep, I bow my head too.
I just kind of go like this.
What kind of a blessing?
By
Then
the almighty name of Helm, the Watcher, Guardian and Eternal Eye, please take these souls into your hand and lead them to the high realms where only you can.
Clara begins to cast. Kane, what are you doing?
I try to assist her on this.
With your assistance, this fireball grows in her own hands, and she's controlling the element again.
When she does, I spit my own flame forth as well.
Your flame joins hers. Your soul, Kane, and hers are united for a moment. Rogar, yours as well, and the love of a mother cast forward from her breast. This huge blazing light as Clara has never let go before on her own. She's surprised at it. It hits the pyre. Immediately, it is engulfed in flames. The flames rise, but not just smoke. A light begins to emanate up into the sky. The mists begin to part, and on the other side of the path you can see the foothills. They are off to your side. They are the foothills you came down through. The sun is just breaking. The dawn has just hit this pyre. And it is a magnificent, if not terrible, sight. You're able to see more and more as the heat and the radiance of this fire begin to dispel all the mists around you. You can see the light hitting the foothills and the hills that you came out from in between. Three, 400 feet. Now you can see clearly the edge of the woods on these hills and a large cliff. And then you see the horde. A line of black forms, tall, short, some of them winged. Drums begin to beat. A few forms rise into the sky. One particularly menacing form sits there at the front. And in a booming voice you can't deny, you hear an evil form of the draconic tongue. The echoes of Tiamat. Behind you, suddenly, a body of one of the gray patriots rises, and spitting from its mouth. Son of Helm. Son of Helm. You honor your dead soul. Come. How may I honor you? And you see hoots and yelps and yips as small lizard-like forms of the kobolds begin to run down the escarpment and into the valley as they towards your pyre, and ogres and orcs not far behind, and a winged host, 1,000 strong. And in behind you, the only thing that rings is the sound of a lone bell cutting through the darkness. The bell of that small ship. What are each of you?
Trying not to poop my pants.
I grab Runt's arm, I turn around, and I just yell, "Follow me," and I'm running for that ship.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Runt and Geen begin to run on horseback. They turn and they bolt back the way they came. Kane,
Kane's gonna get on his horse and lend a hand down to Clara to help her up, and then follow suit with Geen.
You and Rogar, pardon me. Clara follows Kane. Rogar, this undead monstrosity is sitting in front of you, snarling, starting to move towards you. And it begins to run at you and Raytheon fell.
I honor all worthy who have died, and bring my mace around and crack it across the face.
And with the holy light, you cast it into the pyre, and it is extinguished immediately. I won't make you roll. I think that's pretty awesome. And that is where we'll end.
Hooray. I hope we get away. That's a lot of bad guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
I have an idea what to do, but I want to keep it for next time.
Sure. Let's make it Geen's idea. Okay. Great. It's not the standard game for us, but what do we think? What What moments stand out for you?
Separation. It was alien to be missing a party member presently, but also not to have Geen with us the entire time.
Geen, what would you add to that?
This was if I'm to think of it this way, I believe this was Geen's first time being one-on-one with someone, because she throughout her journey was always with some sort of group or some other people, and so for her to be alone like this in a forest with someone who kidnapped her, she just had to kind of feel like she needed to be smart about what she needed to do and not just be impulsive to get out. She needed to make her moves slowly and carefully because she didn't want to make any mistake that could have costed her either her life or her to lose her sister, or at least an opportunity to find her sister.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to keep like bean moments in the back of my mind while the game's going on. And then after that, at some point I was like, I think Geen should get mine because she helped us so much on our rescue mission by rescuing herself.
Well, we'll call that a preemptive bean.
Yeah.
A Geen bean.
A Geen bean.
Kane.
I would say
Aiden.
I agree with Rogar in the sense of with separation, but I would say personally the emotional standpoint of this game and how like emotionally and impactful it was, because I've never personally played in a game that was like that, and it was crazy how I don't know, it was just crazy of how emotional the whole situation was. I mean, I felt impacted.
It snowballed very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, on the note for the on that note, what would I think I heard Runt say he's got a bean for Geen, so
Bean for Geen. Geen
let's talk about who earns your beans.
I will also give mine to Geen. The scene
For Bean's Geen.
Yeah.
Geen's bean.
Bean scene.
of leaving the ship, running along the shore, sprinting even through the sands, and the first person that she wanted to check on was Runt. And that's an interesting connection because Runt and I are like this, but now we have an extra link in that little chain that they're making on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And the kneeling down, even though Runt can take care of herself, sneak her in behind somebody, and that's gonna get ugly very quickly. That scene, yeah, I'm definitely gonna give that to Geen today.
Okay.
I just wanted to kind of build off of that real quick and just kind of connect it and put you in Geen's mind a little bit. She knows Kane and she's familiar with Kane, but she's never really had a moment with him. With Clara, she's had a couple moments, if you guys remember before, where Clara was very adamant to go back to that inn. She burnt that paper. So right now, Geen's not thinking very favorable of her as much. She's just kind of feeling a little bit separated. So right now, she's really connecting to Runt because she can see how genuine she is. And even though she does not necessarily bad things like sneaking out from under the bed, but she just does these things, but she kind of points them with nice gestures, like giving the string and stuff like that. So she's kind of feeling a little bit of a connection to Runt and just wants to, I guess, she's the youngest in her family, so to have someone younger than her and smaller than her, I guess she's starting to feel that big sister role and is in her head understanding what her sister thought of her before she left. So that's kind of what's going on in her mind right now.
That's a terrific evolution.
We haven't learned too much about your sister, and I think that's going to be coming up.
I would like to give my bean to Rogar, Sargin, but I feel like Rogar, when we came upon the mass grave and your priest pal from the same religion and faith, you acted like you were really impactful during that scene, and how you handled it was really, really well done, and it was great.
I agree. I want to give my bean to Rogar because I feel like with all of these situations, just the way he handles them with some poise and like dignity, and it's just like fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that Rogar during today, and when we came across that, he definitely, I would say for the first time, seemed really shaken, like truly shaken.
Yeah.
And I'll award my bean now. I'm really split. Beans have two sides. I can't give 0.5, but split bean. Split bean soup. On one hand, Geen, Luna, I loved when you were trying to figure out what to do with this guy. I didn't know what you were going to do with this bucket, with this handful of muck. I'm really interested to see what happens next. Rogar, I go back to the start of the story or the start of this session, and this team is forming. The players are forming. We're learning how to play together, and this is something that every group has to go through. And I think what we've all talked about, what would we do when somebody needed to step up? And I think from looking at it from the character's perspective and how it was played, I can picture, Brad stepping up. I got to remember that even though, we've got a paladin of Helm who's commanded to do this, he's young, he's 6, he's not learned in many ways, right? And to have a group captained by that is going to be really, really interesting. It's kind of like if I was to let my kids drive. I'm not sure what's going to happen. But I give my bean to Rogar. So I was really wondering what was going to happen during that, and I didn't expect that, actually. So there we are. So just because I don't have the note in front of me, I remember that we had 2 players with advantage, one being Kelsey, I believe. Clara had advantage, yes. And Geen, were you holding the other advantage, or was it Runt? I can't remember. It was Runt.
Yeah, Runt.
So Runt and you're both holding 5 beans. And I'm sorry, you're going to have to remind me of your own totals. So Rogar, you're up 3. Geen, you're up 2.
I have 5 now as well.
Yeah, 5. I have 5.
Wow. Holy moly. So, Kane, what are you sitting at? 3. Okay, well.
You'll have your moments, Kane. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think next week's going to be a tough one because we've got a full house when it comes to inspiration. So, guys, I know this was a little different, and thanks for sticking with it. I really enjoy playing with you guys, and I look forward to it next time. So we'll see you in a week.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good night, everybody.
Thank you for watching.
All right. We're almost there.